joining us.
Hi,
Uh,
everybody.
Hi, my name is Eric Thomas. I'm co-founder of Pharaoh's Conclave, where we prepare youth for esports careers. That's K through 12 and collegiate. Um, and so we do that with an online learning platform. We have an e-league that serves as a living lab for all of the work the young people are doing. And we also have an apprenticeship program that starts at the age of 16, where you can start working on certifications, um, internships, co-ops, and other employment opportunities. We're based in Atlanta, Georgia, and I'm glad to be here.
Hey, it's great to have met Eric. My name is Tyrone. Tyrone Chisler, and I'm the founder and CEO of Hiatus. And we are tech knowledge workspace. It's currently online. My background is in the AAA video gaming industry, but I ventured into VR, mobile gaming, and now becoming an entrepreneur. I started a web app that's going to open soon for internship, apprenticeship, similar to Eric, because it's important, I think, that we foster our young kids, into this realm. And I'm excited to speak with all of you today about video games. I think Eric's going to hit it off first, talking about game design. And I got some art for you guys to show and talk about the process of art and designing video games if you have further questions. Then maybe another panelist should be joining us, so we'll see.
Well, for sure. I'm what I'm gonna do is kind of just jump into the questions I'm seeing there. So, hello, Miles and Rashim, excuse me. And we got somebody else came in, some Rico. All right, cool. I see you guys doing your things. Actually, that first question from Miles, I see there. Miles was asking, what is your daily schedule like? And we were actually about to get into that. And with a job as a video game designer or working with in the gaming industry, now that we're in COVID, I always tell everybody that, hey, COVID just brought everybody to where we live. We were already digital. We were already living in these spaces. And so it really brought everybody to us and pulled us into the forefront of what everybody was doing. People still want to do a lot of face-to-face events. They still want to do a lot of face-to-face conferences and meetings and things of that nature. But because of COVID, we were forced to get online and not just meet in the same city, but we were able to meet in the, state to state and then internationally as well. So everything that technology was supposed to do in connecting us, we allowed it to do during COVID. Some did it better than others, but really that was mostly the change we made. And I work again with K through 12 mainly, but then also collegiate. So one of our biggest pivots was, instead of face-to-face summer camps, we did a completely 100% online virtual summer camps. And so those really blew up for us. So COVID has been bittersweet, but definitely a blessing for what we're doing right now.
Yeah, and on my side, I've actually been able to relaunch my company. At first, everything was in person. We had kids from 10 to 14, and we sort of like hit a downturn with COVID. But I got pinged by a lot of people still asking to do this, and based on the request, I rebooted everything, went online. And so far it's been great. Actually, more contracts have been coming through than ever. I guess what you could say, being fully online and at home, you can be doing multiple things, on your machine, so to speak. So it's a little heavy on the work side, because you got to juggle family, personal time, and work time. One of my advice, or what I've found helps me, is to start setting up my office, my space, my dungeon. So that helps me kind of like know when I'm at work and when I'm at home. But even with the other other artists that I speak to, or game designers through contracts that I speak to, other companies. We all in the same boat. So in some ways, it's great. Like we're not doing anything different. We're doing the same work. We have some more personal freedoms than we had before. We can get up at 5 a.m., right? Not have to drive to work and be done in the afternoon if we choose to, and go spend time with the family, or work a little later and have the morning open. So in some ways it has more flexibilities. Um, yeah. That being said, I miss the person-to-person thing, but that's what it is right now.
I think we all do. I think we all
Yeah.
kind of do. I saw another question in there, and it's moving. I'm going through screens here, but I do see
Yeah.
an educator, Bradford, was asking, how did you all prepare for gaming or game design in schools before college? For me, my road was actually, so I'm dating myself, but I go back all the way to Commodore 64, and that's where I was playing Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego, Oregon Trail, Type Blaster, even before I got into Intellivision. I didn't have Atari. I did Intellivision to Sega. And then I didn't even own a PlayStation until I graduated college because all my friends had them. So I was like, I'm not going to spend that money because they got it. But that actually prepared me. But even then, I had a love for programming. And so, we were doing BASIC and Fortran when I was in school, and before I went to college. And we were just doing basic games, no pun intended. But I had a real strong math background. I went into civil engineering, and so just that critical thinking piece and problem solving. If you are good at that, then you can design anything. So I look at game design more from the design part of it. I was never really the best programmer, but I could come up with the ideas. I could design really well, and that's where the team aspect came into play. Where you just have somebody on your team who's a better programmer than you are, and you play your role, and then they play their roles, and you can start. I started teaching my son game design when he was in kindergarten, so you can start early. A friend of mine was saying once they know how to turn a device on, you might as well start at that point working with them. So that's kind of how I prepared myself prior to college, just really being strong in mathematics. I love science, and then just that critical thinking and problem solving piece is very important.
Yeah, on my side, it's quite funny. So it's a nice balance because, as Eric was saying, he's like strong on the mathematics and engineering. I came from the complete artist side. Um, like I don't want to say I was dumb, but like it's not. I wasn't bad in math. I actually was pretty good at geometry, but I had a neck for painting and art. And from there, I wanted to become a concept artist. Same thing, like starting with Commodore 64. Like that was my first console, and waiting for things to load and all that. I think International Karate was like one of my first games on there. And actually, I tried to code. Like a regular speech code game. But the love of art was just so great. And then from drawing, I got one teacher from going to concept art, got one teacher that was doing ZBrush. So sculpting, digital sculpting on the screen, right? Where I didn't have to get my hands messy and all that. And so it was kind of like a merger of like the art and the technical part. And I just fell in love, and yeah, I started working at 2K right out of school. Like I really polished my portfolio, and that's really how it all started for me. So I think for both sides, the engineering, the art, like what Eric said, is totally true. Like you got to be able to hand it off. I would even extend that, like programmers and artists need to work together. That's the best thing. When that works smoothly, it's just you create beautiful products, and and fun games, you know. So yeah, that's it for me. Um,
Same here. I feel I saw a question someone was asking in is it more coding or is that more in development? It's there are multiple um, fields inside of game design that you can pursue. And I think Tyrone is going to get a chance to show you some of the artwork that he's working on. But you have a team made up of many different people working together. So you have your concept artists, you have your definitely have your programmers, you have you have your music. You got music production happens in video games. So it's a cycle that you do from beginning to end. And so there are a lot of different people that will touch a project. So whatever you're into is kind of, you can figure out where that lies within the field. If you're really techie, or if you're artsy and creative, there's somewhere for you to live.
Yep, that's exactly true. So I would always talk about this like in terms of like it's almost like a relay, you know, not a sprint. Like you creating something in your area. Like I couldn't create a beautiful sculpted model, you know, one of these like Fortnite characters or whatnot. But without a rigger and without a programmer, this thing is not going to do anything. You know, it's just going to be like a statue to look at. You know, it's really like the rigger and the animator helped me bring it to life. And then the programmers, they design, you know, all the ins and outs of your game design, you know, like without them, this is almost similar to like an animator. Without them, the whole thing would just crash. You know, crash as in like when you're playing a game and all of a sudden, I don't even know if that happens in new games anymore. Things just crash. You know, you get a blank screen or whatever. When you had the computer breakdown, without the programmers, that's the kind of stuff that will happen. You know, so we all rely heavily on each other. So yeah.
Definitely. I saw another couple of questions. So I think we had a freshman in high school, Sophia. She was asking a question about, can she apply for internships despite being a freshman in high school? So she can get more experience. Like I was saying earlier, you can start now. You can start teaching yourself. There's a lot of opportunities to get certifications along the way, some free, some paid, like with Unity or with Microsoft, just to kind of get used to doing it. The thing that I know, and Tyrone can co-sign on this if he feels the same way, but it's about finishing a project is what kind of most people are looking for when they're hiring on whoever they're hiring. If you can finish a project, whatever it is, that's what they're looking for, and you can never start too soon. And if I put my website in the chat, Pharaoh's Conclave or pcxnow.com. Like we work with a lot of high schoolers, and below K through 12, like I said. And feel free to email me and ask me any questions about that, but you can definitely start. There are so many different, I see, like Tyrone said, Blender, so many engines, Unreal, the Unity, Scratch, even, just start, and then just work on that. That's really what you need to do there. And when it depends on the size of the studio or the game house, whether or not they're going to hire an entire team or they're looking for individuals to make a team. So if you're just good at your craft and practicing your craft, and put it out there, people are going to notice you and definitely want to work with you.
Yes, Rico, indeed, they did have to give refunds. I gotta, give you.
That's funny.
For that one. To answer the Blender question, or what engines or what software you should be using, what's the standard? It is drastically shifting right now. So the usual standard was, well, at first it was like engines like Unreal, which one is probably one of the oldest engines. I forgot that there was another one that was used a long time ago. It's losing sight right now though. And then Amazon came with Lumberyard, that didn't work, right? But in terms of the whole pipeline, usually what you have is a 3D software, right? That just you produce any number of geometries or meshes that go into the game, right? You have a rigger that transfers that usually over to the engine, and that's about it, right? You can use Blender, you can use Maya, you can use Modo. Uh, in the past, it was 3ds Max was the hot ticket. Everybody was using 3ds Max, and all of a sudden, everybody's shifted to Maya because the animators they used to use that software just made it shine and it became better and better. And now, like there's Modo in the background. There's a number of hidden software in the background, but I would say Blender actually I would advocate for that, especially if you're starting out because you do not have to worry about the cost, right? And there's a number of ways, like the principles here when you learn the principles in Blender from whoever it is, if it's like from a school like us or in college or with Eric, those principles will apply to any of these 3D softwares. I have students that teach at BCC as well at Berkeley City College, and they get like freaked out about, oh, I know Blender, I don't know Maya. You know what? I actually met them halfway. I said, like, okay, those who want to use Blender, let's use Blender. As long as you adhere to the principles of 3D modeling, it's all the same. We are the ones that make that stuff shine, with our artistry. It's not the software, like the old saying goes, is the pilot, not the plane. It's the same thing, right? So Blender is great, definitely, and it's beautiful, fast renders. So a large community. In terms of game engines, if you don't have a strong computer or you're nervous about it, in terms of like you don't know where to start, I do like to shout out people that do a great job to solve these kind of issues and not just, talk about like what I got going. There is a group, Manticore. So if you check out Manticore, I think it's at the forefront of it. Roblox might have been doing something similar. And there's some new ones coming. Like my company might be working on something too soon. Well, basically, you can just go in there and take the shackles off. There is programming in that engine. I can post a link to it. But you can make art. But you have a group of engineers and artists that help you, that facilitate you with some of the foundational things, so you can just go ahead and game design, right, and make fun games. And then you kind of from there go deeper and deeper. It gets you sucked in. It's like I now want to know how to program C# or C++, or at Java or whatever, like helps you get there, right? So there's more and more possibilities. That would be the answer to your question. Is like Eric said, just get your hands dirty, get in there. The only mistake you can make is like not to get your hands dirty, and wait. Nothing's gonna come out of that. So yeah.
So I see another question. Miles was asking, how long does it take to design a video game? So question. It's all relative. If you can sit in your house and you can crunch day and night, and it depends on how many levels and how complex you want it to be. And it doesn't really matter if it's a simple game or a complex game. Start with the simple game and then get more and more complexity to it, add different elements on the next level or as you do things. But again, the biggest thing is you want to make sure you complete the project. Somebody was asking about, okay, I can let Victor in. But somebody else was asking, is computer information tech, would that be good for game design? So again, it depends on you. So you always want to kind of drive yourself as being the center of your choices for what you want to go into. If you love games, if you love video gaming, then you get in there and then you can figure out. There's a lot of people who I've met in my network who have seen, who started out as interns doing, small pieces to a video game project, and they've been there for a while. They've learned another language. And so then at that point, they get an opportunity to do something else on another game that's being put together. So you just kind of be as rare-rounded as possible, know your strengths and know your weaknesses. And because everything's digital now, you can always learn and bone up yourself on different things as you're doing it. So just get in there and kind of work on it and do it. I'm gonna bring in Victor. I think he had a.
Yeah, I'm gonna answer some questions on the chat, and you can keep, answering those questions. Yeah.
No problem. All right. So I added Victor, and I'll see when Victor should be getting up in there soon. Or maybe he stepped. Victor might have stepped away on that one. Okay. That was another interesting question I saw. Oh yeah, what's the difference between design and development? So what we like to focus on, and then this is coming from our civil engineering background. Design of whatever it is you're building is the most important thing. If it's designed as good, if the design is as good as you can make it, it's easy. There are going to be changes that happen along the way, no matter what. But that's the blueprint that you're going to start with. So if you can design the game, here's the question: narrative designer with story development. Think about your favorite video games. Why were those video games your favorite? Was it the storyline that drew you in? With a lot of with your favorite video game. But I love comic books, movies, video games, anime, all of that. What draws us in? This the storyline. And then I love to play the video game adaptations because I'm so invested into the characters. So it's very important to have really well developed characters. And that's kind of what brings you in. That's for me. I don't know, Tyrone, how do you feel about
that? I feel the same way. I mean, you got to kind of, as long as you get the thread, like you want to pull the player into a story, right? Like that's what he's referring to. So what's your first welcome or your first impression of the game? Generally, for me too, it's characters. If I'm not so into the character or the style, so to speak, overall, or what that character represents, it's kind of hard for me to get into a game. But it depends. Some people, they like strategy more, right? And so they really look for like intricate like strategies that they can tell right from the gameplay, right? Like from when they see the trailer, right? Was like Warcraft. Was it Warcraft?
Yeah, World of Warcraft.
Yeah, World of Warcraft maybe. A lot of army games, used to be like that. The names are, I haven't played them in so long. Or
a lot of the Call of Duty, they had the story mode. I mean, I love the story mode. And I'll go through the story mode of pretty much any game that I play. I love fighters. Like when Injustice came out, that was the reason why I stayed up all night. I was on the story mode and I killed it, got to the end. And then for Injustice 2, same thing. So, that was the most interesting part for me because I felt like I was a part of it. I think that's where I was at on that.
Yeah, fighting games are same here. Like I think the reason might be too, Eric, for those, maybe it's an age thing, I don't know. With the Commodore, they grew up with the Commodore 64. The next step was really Street Fighter, and like hitting those arcades and competing with one another. Which now, I mean, esports, it's huge, right? Like the fighting game community is just like gigantic. If you bring out a fighting game, that's not only fun, there's money, there's community, there's just a lot of good things. So I would say like that is one of the prime examples because there's just so many characters. Yes, they're stereotyped. Hopefully that gets to change and we can make some more, accurate representations of one another in that venue. But nobody can deny that it's fun and that the characters are really pulling you in. But if the gameplay isn't working, right, there's a lot in a fighting game system that you do not see. Those experts that play at the esports level, right, they know about all the frame lags, the
frame
buffers, like they know exactly what to do, right? Like, I don't want to dive in too technical with fighting games. Like, sometimes it's even above me, although I love it. But yeah, just remember that, you know, there's always a technical aspect to it.
The thing, I think one of the things that makes, you know, if you want to, you know, get in kind of the esports side of it, the really, really good players, for like, if you're really good at Pac-Man, with some of the earlier video games, with the arcade games, it was about noticing the patterns. And then that gets you into the frame rates and things of that nature. If you can notice, if you practice enough and you can start to pick up on the patterns and what can happen when it can and when it's supposed to happen, it gives you a little bit of edge on that. And I know some people who like playing video games to kind of try to find those flaws. And find
Yeah.
the glitches is like a lot of people would like to talk about. Aaron, you made Aaron Young, you made a pretty good comment. You were asking about it was the second one, I think it was. Yeah, there it is. You were like, story mode and RPGs for PS2, they're not as good as they are right now. I kind of attribute a little bit of that to the kind of the sprints and the time crunches that a lot of video games developers are under right now. They're so heavy to push out the content that it's not necessarily the best developed content. I don't mind, you know, a developer or a house looking at what they're doing and really giving me a quality product that I can look at, and I know that there's always going to be, you know, a patch or some downloadable content coming down the road to add a level or two. But if you can just give me the first few levels really, really, really good, and then give me a couple more levels, you know, I'll wait on that. And that's longevity as well. Now you've sucked people in, and they're waiting for the next thing that you're going to drop. So, you know, for me, I think if they focus a little bit more on that, it'll probably get better in the story modes. And that's just me. I'm a story movie guy. So that's what I
Yeah.
like.
Yeah. I wanted to answer Mia's question. I'm trying to answer some of your chats. So Mia was saying, would it be smart to learn programming as a narrative designer? I have faith in my writing, but I struggle with coding. Should I
Oh yeah,
stick, you know? And I guess a lot of people themselves, should they learn programming uh, additively to what they want to do in the industry? Because, you know, we always hear about game engines, right? Um, I don't know how Eric feels about it. I think there's definitely two avenues. One is you just stick to your craft and you are the best at what you can be, you know, in your craft, right? So if you just explode on, you know, knowing all the background stories, make everything link well together. But I have to say, I've worked and met uh, one person so far who's been a story writer, narrative designer, who was very interested on learning the systems of a programmer to put in particular speech for NPCs, right? Non-playable characters, right? So as he was writing his narrative or story, he was aware of how that system worked and how in games there are pluses and minuses to just writing, like, say, long sentences, right? And how to actually hold dialogue within the enclosed spectrum of NPC discussions, right? Or you as a player asking. I mean, if you play Grand Theft Auto, you will see, like, you ask an NPC a question, he won't run down like 5 minutes telling you a long story. You get bored as a player, you move on. You know, you don't stick. Like, your attention span is like that tight. So you got to really become good at, like, conveying the right information that the game designer wants you to convey, you know, in that particular area, and fast and quick, you know. So that already is a skill that's I personally, I struggle with it. I feel it's really, really tough. And yeah, you will be very wanted if you're just good at that. That being said, it never hurts in the industry to understand engineers or
right.
coders. You know, it never hurts because they speaking a language and you're going to speak a language, you know. in terms of art or narrative or story writing, and you have to meet. I think I see Eric nodding, and I think like if I may speak like as a Black community, I think the Black community will do a better job at that than what's currently available. You know,
Yeah.
they don't work, they don't appreciate that camaraderie and working together. You know, as much so far. It's a different history. Let's put it that way. maybe that's appropriate to say. I don't know.
Yeah, and my real quick on what I was about to say, and I know we're running short on time.
Yeah.
Coding for me, when I teach my students, I talk about it being more of the vocation. And of course, you can major in programming and things of that nature, but I'll go back to me as a civil engineer. I understand drywall. As I'm building a building, I understand, the framework and making sure the truss system is working, the flooring system is going together, and the materials and things. I'm not necessarily the one putting it together, but I can look at the blueprints, and then I can look at what's happening out at the project site, and then I can say, well, that's right or that's wrong. So, you don't have to, be fluent in that language to be able to pick out things and understand how you need to, if there's any corrections that need to be made. So there's a lot of areas where you can live with that. And computer science is a perfect major to kind of use to go into game design. Game design development is computer science. It's not different from computer science because you're programming, you're creating a program. It's algorithms. At the end of the day. So it's really the same thing. My wife has a PhD in computer science, and she now really mainly teaches game development as the way to get more people interested in game design, because I know that was one of the things that was my hang up in programming. It takes forever to program something, and if you have one syntax error, that's a comma out of place, I'm gonna break my machine. But to design it and then have somebody who's better than me work on it is a little bit different. But I think Tyrone, are we going to have to leave? Is that how this works?
Say that again. Leave.
The time wise, I know.
Yeah. No, I was thinking because I had some great questions there. Perhaps I can show you guys a little bit. So Rico was not to say there wasn't any other questions. We'll try to answer all of them. I mean, feel free to email us too after this.
The admin says we're good. We can keep going, so we're straight.
Oh, cool. So, like, actually showing you what can happen, right? Like, or showing you what we're talking about, like how the games are built, right? So let me share my screen, and I will talk a little bit, and I'm sure Eric can chime in if he wants to. Hold on.
Definitely. I love that character you were showing me earlier. That was nice.
Oh yeah. I have multiple ones. So he was talking about this guy. Yeah. So here, for example, this is just an engine. It's called Marmoset. That's just a mid-engine lighting engine. So lighting is really, it's like when you watch your movies and everything, like the Marvel movies, there's always some type of like illusion. I like to call them illusions, like magic, really. It's just we try to simulate what the real life lights are doing, and then we like tweaking it to stylize it, like we put it on like 80s lights or something, just to like make it more fancy, right? So for example, like I got this character right here, okay? And you can see when I click on it, actually it's just like, when you think about the matrix, right? And you see everything in numbers. Well, in this case, you see everything in geometry, but those are actually numbers. So you see this, what we call wireframe, right? So in here, I can click this on, right? And you see the wireframe actually. So all the games that you guys are playing are all based on this wireframe, right? So just think about that. And that wireframe, like Eric is saying, is actually built on like math, math and physics. It's not actual clay or something like standing in there. It's just math and physics. So the scientists, so to speak, or the engineers are helping us out, the artists, to put our vision in. If they don't give us a good engine, then we can't really like push our art to the utmost thing. We'll find a way, we'll make it look hot, but hand in hand again, if they do a good job, we do an even better job, So it kind of like it one feeds into the other. You got like lights, right? Like light simulation right here, so I can turn off lights. There's a lot of stuff that you can do, right? Just like by learning about 3D in general, right? So here's another software. This one is called Substance Painter. So these are the creative softwares. I mentioned some of the other softwares and from that are in the beginning of the pipeline and then at the end, but these are like the mid pipeline softwares, right? Where you can like cross-check some stuff, but you can also learn about how to paint, how to texture it, right? In the past, we had to hand paint all of this color, sometimes these details in, but now, if you can see this hopefully on the screen, right? Thanks to some of these great engineers and I call them like tech artists, right? I can actually drop in a shader that has some computation to simulate, let's say, metal or cloth or plastic, right? Like it has a bunch of stuff. So if I take this guy, right, and I go in here and I say, let me make this metal, right? I know it looks stupid, but I just want to see what it look like. Hopefully it won't crash.
And
Taking a
while
little bit.
Tyrone is doing that, I want to. So when he was talking about lighting and the texture, so in a small gaming house, you'll be
There you
doing
go.
all of that work as one or two individuals. But if you're in a bigger house, you what you'll do is you it'll be people who are just responsible for lighting and responsible for texturing and responsible for the wireframe. So, depending on the size of the gaming house that you're working with, then there are different jobs that people can have. Think about a movie studio. Think about all the different things that happen in order to get a scene recorded. You can do the same thing. The same thing exists in the gaming industry in developing a video game. You have and interesting, if you remember back to Lord of the Rings, any epic kind of movie that had multiple fighters fighting in a war, those were built on Unity engines and Unreal Engine to simulate those battles. So, this is real time stuff. And then it goes beyond just the gaming. Learning how to do this 3D modeling, you can go work for Nike. You can work for the automobile industry. You can go work for the flight industry, airplane industry. So there's so many different things you can do when you learn these different elements and learn how to use these programs. Definitely in construction industry, 3D's the room. Most things were 2D, but now things are moving to 3D renderings, 3D flyovers, fly-throughs to present your project. So there's so many different things you can do.
Yep, absolutely. While this is loading, so I'm showing you one of the game engines, Unreal. So we have a plan for a fighting game production, and I'll give you guys some insights. No worries, you don't have to sign no NDAs. It's way too early in the stage. But yeah, I like to just show you guys, like so it's for real. This is how this is created. But what Eric was saying is so true, right? Yes, like you can see it as like we're making art and games or engineering, but one things I think also as a Black community we have to appreciate and really expand upon is like it's not just limited to that. You could be learning 3D, you could be learning engineering for games, but that can take you anywhere, right? I think it's just more fun to learn it that way. Right, that's really the point that I discovered. Is like, wow, I wish when I was young I could have learned math and science and physics and whatnot all through these like simulations and 3D. I would have had way more fun as an artist. So I think you can like have that foresight and say like, well, maybe I changed my mind and want to become an architect, but I can do pre-vising on architecture, right? Or I can help out a civil engineer and do like CAD 3D work because I know how all that stuff. And now there's photogrammetry, which is even greater. It's like scanning stuff, and then polishing it up, and make it really realistic. So it's just so much you can expand upon. So yeah, I just want to reemphasize that, like, don't limit yourself to just games. Is that you can learn so much more and go into movies even, if you want to.
Yeah, that's something I used to want to do, be getting movies, just from a construction standpoint with the sets and everything. But looking at what you're doing right now, so now I'm thinking about when I'm looking at studios and they got motion capture, the mocap that takes place for them to do this. So the technology is getting to a point where a lot of this becomes, I'm not going to say easier, but you get to do it in a way that it looks better. And then you can actually go to a deeper level of what you want to have your characters to do. But also you want to make sure, and for blacks in this industry, it helps us to make sure that the characters that we can make sure that the characters are what the character should be. All right, what they should look like, how they should feel, how they should move, their backgrounds and things of that nature. So, if you want to be a part of this industry, there's so many different places that you can be a part of the industry. Just got to get in there. You really do have to get in there. And so you could be the person who is the actor. The voice. We can talk about voiceover. There's so many different things that you can do to help a project get there. You see the cameras from different angles that you're looking at.
Yeah, like right here.
I mean, it's literally the possibilities are endless with what you can do, and the technology is only going to get better.
Yep. Yeah. So again, like what you're saying, like the technology is going to get better is happening right now, and it kind of like circles back to like what software, right? Thanks, Miles. It's happening right now in the movie industry. So because of the pandemic, right? A lot of shots that used to like where you had a set, right, and there used to be some like idea about CG and green screen and all that. You still had to like coordinate and meet up all together. Right now, that has actually changed, or it's actually actively changing. Where Unreal, this game engine that I'm showing you right now, right, they've managed to link the camera, the live camera, right, with that camera in Unreal. So now you're merging the reality, it's like augmented reality, what you see at the set with what's happening in the game engine, so to speak. So the game engine now is starting to flow into the movie industry, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's just it's a large large environment for us to still explore and flourish. I mean, look at what we did in the, I would say, in the hip hop and music, a music video industry, right? Like, I would say that was an explosion where like we excelled, and so yeah, that still has to be done, I think, in gaming, and I would even say in some of the animation movie houses. So that needs engineers, that needs artists, that needs narrative designers, producers, audio design, everything, without the right people, we can't make that happen, I
Exactly.
want to stop sharing. Yeah.
I mean, it's the sky's the limit with everything that's possible right now. I wish, and let me drop this nugget real quick because we're still in February. If you don't know who this person is, please look him up. His name is Gerald Lawson. Gerald Lawson in the late 70s was a black man who actually came up with the technology for the first interchangeable cartridges for a console machine. It's called a Fairchild Channel F. F stood for fun. And had I known then, as I was growing up, getting into engineering, that, somebody looked like me was actually working on that type of a project, I'd have probably stuck with it more. And instead of going, civil engineering to education to now more in the gaming industry, I probably would have straight gone into the gaming industry as opposed to that. But that's what, the real thing we want to make sure happens is that our communities see ourselves as the creators and producers. 73% of us are consuming products. in the gaming industry, but less than 5% are responsible for what is being produced. So, we have to make sure that we're working to get past that and do better.
Yep. Yeah, fully with you. There's a couple questions. Miles was asking, "Is that Ryu?" Just one question. Is like, yes, it's a fan art slash style test. Style guide. So some things we do sometimes is not, I mean, I personally do it, but I know other studios do too. It's like the artists just do like some R&Ding, and try like, hey, what proportions work, what colors, what is the mood and feel of this character? How do you simulate the hair? Is it real hair? Is it like chunks of like cartoony hair? So this was a style test that will lay like the standard for other characters to come in that particular project that I'm working on with this, right? And then Chimera was showing her art is beautiful. You were doing some nice anime characters. So anybody who wants to share art, or now or in the future, or wants to get in contact with us, and interested, can they convert that art into 3D or take it further? Like, feel free. I give as much time as I can, for people, to answer questions, because that's what people did for me. Quite honestly, I wouldn't be here if I wouldn't have had the help from some great artists that just answered my questions, and help me out. So yeah.
This has been cool. I'm really enjoying this and the questions. And like I said, I just really, I'm glad that we're doing this, and we're definitely going to be doing more of this. So shouts out to Black Collegiate Gaming Association, Keisha, that this is an awesome event that's being put on here. I hope you guys are enjoying it as well. Does anybody have any more questions for us? And any questions is a good question.
I saw Aaron asking something about VR gaming.
VR, AR.
Yeah.
So that reminds me. So this is something I wanted to throw in really quickly. Some of the things that we're working on right now. Like I said, we do this K through 12, and it's about apprenticeship. So we have some comic books and some actual video games that students, as they go through our program, they get to work on as well. One of the video games that we're working on, we also have a partner who has, wearable technologies and different things as well that people can use. So, but these technologies are like weather technologies that can detect moisture, see if it's raining outside. And what happens is when that sensor senses rain outside, it rains in the video game. Or if it's dark outside, it's dark in the video game. And some of the video games you're playing right now probably look the same way. Hey, Keisha.
Hey, Keisha, how you doing? It's nice to see you. To answer Aaron's question.
Can you all hear me?
Yeah.
I just wanted to say thank you so much, gentlemen, for today and for your dropping these jewels. You've got one of the highest breakout sessions right now in terms of engagement and participation. So congratulations. So what you're doing is real. I see some of the great work you're doing too, Tyrone. So we appreciate you both. I cannot say it enough, but I wanted to drop in and say thank you. And for anybody that can hear me that's engaging in the chat room, you're welcome to also join on video. If you'd like to be seen by these amazing men, don't be afraid to ask, because if you don't ask, you won't know. And get as much as you can while you can from these amazing men, and and stay in touch with them.
Definitely.
At a socially safe distance, and not to a point where they want to block you. But thank you all. I appreciate you. And hopefully we'll see you guys tomorrow. And please follow us on at BCJ USA, and looking forward to everything we're going to do with PCX.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But thank you both.
Thank you, Keisha, for having us. It was amazing. I'll try to answer a couple more questions if Eric still has time. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm good. Today was actually my son's birthday.
Whoa.
So you might have heard him in the background, but we've already done that. And so COVID, we do car parades now. So and it's it's interesting and to see what he's doing. He, like I said, we started teaching him game design when he was in kindergarten. So now he's still coming into our room with his sketch pad with characters. He's coming in, with his where he's just now created a game, his latest design. He does 3D. He does 3D design for Beyblade, so he really loves anime. And I was going to say that about what I saw with some of the characters. Toys. The toy industry is a huge industry that's using a lot of these this technology as well. So, we got Miss Wilson. There you go. We're going to get Miss Wilson.
Great.
Hi.
Give her some. Hi.
Hey.
I made it. That's good.
So
is that? Go ahead.
I'm sorry. What were you saying?
No, I was just gonna say you're our other panelist. So if you have
this is Miss Wilson. She was actually giving us the comments, a lot of good comments.
Yes, I was the one that shared the Instagram, and you said that you liked my art.
Yeah, Kimber. Sorry, my bad.
Are you in school right now?
I'm going to be college bound soon. I'm looking to apply to SCAD sometime soon. I actually just graduated high school last year, May 2019.
Oh, nice.
So I am on my way to college, but I'm just looking for, finances and all of that, looking for as many scholarships as possible. I did do a couple of jobs. It wasn't in the art field. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, I mostly just did a retail, and I did a escape room once. But that's all I've done so far.
Those are great. Did you want to say something, Eric?
Oh, I'm looking at some of the questions. And so it's kind of where she is right now. One of the other students in here, they're in college right now, they were saying they're struggling to pinpoint a certain position or a job they want in the industry. So it's not so much about a certain job. Now, if you know specifically what it is you want to do, that's great. But there's so many things inside the field that you can do. When I interned with a construction firm, it was actually an architecture firm that had a construction department. And so, I then got a chance to see all the different areas that people could go into. So you could be on the, you could be, like I said, on the construction department. You could work with the standards. You could work with so many different things. You could be on project engineering in the office engineering. You could be a project engineer on the project itself. So there's so many different things you could do. What I would just recommend is, as much as you can, be in it and get in it and do as much as you can. So I shot my email out to you, Ms. Wilson. If you want to give me a shout out, I can, answer any questions if you have about SCAD. Either here, I'm in Atlanta, so SCAD Atlanta.
Yeah, my aunt is in Savannah, and she's like, hey, if you want to stay down here and then get your way to SCAD, I was like, that would be a dream to get into SCAD. Because of awesome. the wide connections that SCAD has. So it's just like,
they really do. They really do. My son kind of he's been talking about SCAD, and like I said, he's 12 years old. So, it's good to kind of want to know, have an idea of what it is you want to do going forward. So, thank you, Miss Wilson. We're gonna thank you for is there any what let me ask you a question for you. Yeah. What has been the most difficult thing that you've had to deal with trying to get into the industry?
Right now I'm mostly trying to do streaming and things like that. I have looked around to see if there were any indie developers or things like that, trying to see if, because as you see, I just put myself out there hey, this is old art, but I am looking to do a more labor intensive, because I'm 19. I'm been practically teaching myself how to do like anatomy and art for as long as I can remember. And like I'm
Somebody
slowly
said drop your link in. Somebody said drop your link in so they can follow you. Yeah.
I haven't started yet, but I am working on it. So thank you. But I have been doing this for as long as I could remember, being self-taught. And right now I'm working on getting like a screen sort of drawing tablet along with like an upgrade, because I've mostly been learning like Microsoft Paint, which is where like all of the art that I showed in my Instagram is from. So it's just like I'm working on it, and if I can get to a point where I can just like work on the concept or character design for a game, because growing up I had like this really creative mind. Like I could just get inspired by the drop of a hat and like I need to make a character for this. This is like so cool. I love this concept, and I would like just grab different things from Google and it's like I like that thing, and I just put it all together. And most of the designs that's on my Instagram is where that came from. So it's just like
awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. For everybody too, like I think what since I'm teaching at Berkeley City College, what I've discovered with young kids, and I would love your input, Kimera, or anybody else is also if they want to hop in, and go on this panel and see. It's good to see people's faces. I love it. Is really there's so much information out there. So I think Eric and me and other people in that same field, what we have in common is like we understand that there's so much information out there. We want to make it easier for you. We want to give you a pathway. We want to like not necessarily hold your hand, but we want to mentor you. Because quite honestly, what I've discovered working in the Silicon Valley for like 15 years now, is that when you come across, and it's not their fault, when you come across a lot of the guys that get excellent, really good at their work, somebody else taught them. It's not just self-taught. They don't even have to go through the same struggles, because their uncle, their dad, somebody, most of the time is already there doing that same thing, and they kind of just watch it and then get better. So more of us, like, I teach my son, whatever I can, right? So I'm sure it's Eric is the same way. But for those who don't have that, right, but you have the desire, get in touch with us, right? Like just reach out and say, hey, I don't know yet, maybe Eric's program is it, maybe it's not, maybe it's mine, maybe it's somebody else's, but I'm totally down. Like if, you need some help pointing you the right direction, I know somebody, I will point you in that right direction. That counts for a lot already. Okay.
Welcome, Miles.
Hey. Hello.
Thanks, Kumar.
Hey.
Awesome. So what are you working on right now?
Yeah, so actually, Mr. Thomas, I met you before. I'm not sure if you remember, but you had a tournament at an Atlanta fair, and I won the Super Smash Bros. Tournament and won.
I was going to say,
in
T-shirt.
Yeah. So I was excited. I was excited that I saw you here. I'm like, ooh. I actually wanted to thank you because you actually showed me that there was actually a career in gaming and stuff. Not only to me, but like to my parents, because like my mom was there. So I guess they became more supportive to it because actually, thanks to you, I got a new computer that actually runs game design stuff.
There you go.
So
it's liberating getting that first computer that actually runs games decently.
Exactly.
Here's a secret: you want a better computer, win a tournament.
Oh yeah, exactly. But thanks.
I'm glad I can help.
Yeah, thanks. But also thanks to you. In high school, because I'm graduating now, but in high school, I joined in video game design for like a competition, and me and the senior that I was working with, we both got second place in the national competition. So that was good. And we got fourth place after he graduated. I worked on almost everything by myself. But I reached fourth place before I graduated. But due to COVID and stuff, we didn't get to fully finish the viewpoint of like the game and, you know, interviewing and stuff like that. But I ended up ending in 4th place. So what I've been working on is through RPG Maker. It's not as like complex as Unity and stuff, because that's what I'm starting to transition to. It's 3D models and stuff like that. So I just wanted to ask, I'm not sure if you guys work with 2D, but what's like the learning curve for Unity to RPG?
So conceptually, going from, and this is me going back into my math background, conceptually, you just got to understand what's happening in the 3 dimensions. So you got your X, Y, and your Z. If you were looking back at when Tyrone was showing his character, you saw they had that axis cube in the middle of the body. So you just got to understand what's supposed to be happening in the X and Y. That's your 2D. But then that depth with the Z axis is what you got to start understanding. So now you have to think about what's happening in a 3rd dimension. So you can't just think about moving, you know, left and right, up and down. Now you got to do back and forth as well. Mm-hmm. That's really the biggest difference. So conceptually, if you can start to think about that, that's going to help you along the way. And a lot of artists have, you know, that's where they get into a little bit of trouble when it gets into 3D. They're used to 2D, but now they got to show that depth. And so if you work on that and think about perspectives and perspective views, that'll help you a lot.
Oh, okay. Yeah, all right.
One thing I can add to that is I wish I could show it. It would take too long. I don't know where it's on my desktop, but there's in 2D, flat 2D, you can do sprites. So if you look up in Unity, right, you want to learn about the sprite editor. And essentially what it is, you probably are going to need, this goes for you too, Camara, if you're interested in that, how to make it like move, right, in the game engines, is a software, right? There's Photoshop. There's other softwares now that are free. I can't, for the life, there's Affinity, and Krita, I think. Adobe's a little costly, I would say. But
yeah, with the new subscription service they have now.
Yeah, even the monthly, it can add up, you know.
Yeah.
But there's definitely also like free software out there. Blender, I think, has some 2D stuff too. I just don't know enough about it to like recommend it. But essentially, what you do, you set up a grid, right? And within that grid, you set up your images as in like a flip book. What is going to move, right? Remember, like if you just take a book, right? You draw one guy punching is the first keyframe, second, third, right? And so you flip it. Those images is what you put in those boxes, right? And then you put that into the engine, and there's a shader essentially, or somebody has engineered something to make it play, right? And then you just see the images that are actually superposed on top of each other, but they just going fast, you know, at frame rate. That's when you got to learn a little bit about math and frame rate and animation, and that's just going to all play smoothly, right? But there's a lot of different divisions like animation into it, you know, anatomy, drawing concepts, and all that stuff. You know? But it's just like, honestly, recurring theme here is like really not to be like a Nike sponsor. Is like do it, right?
Yeah,
you got to go in there and do that stuff. And if you need help,
jump right in.
Go there. So yeah.
Hey Nike, you got your next face.
Yeah,
for sure. And Miles, what I was gonna say, can you hold up that T-shirt one more time?
Okay.
I want to screenshot real quick. That is awesome. I'm telling you. Oh man, I remember when you won it. That is awesome. I got it. I was gonna say too. Start with something small. You don't have to try a body. Start with a ball.
Yeah, of course.
Start with the basic shapes first, and manipulating those shapes, and then move from there.
Okay.
And then grow out more complex from there. Okay. So that's where you want to start. And it's trial and error.
Oh, okay.
That's all it really is. Trial and error.
Yeah, that's how it was with RPG Maker too. So I guess that's just the automatic process. You know.
Oh yeah. And there should be some YouTubes of some people working through it that you should be able to find some good clips on how to do some things. I mean, it's there at your fingertips.
Sprite animation always interests me. Like one of my favorite sprite works right now that's rather recent is King of Fighters 13. I have it on Steam. And I love the sprite work in that game. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty dope. Yeah, they got some that's like old school SNK. You know, they had the master T. There's a link I might be able to drop that talks about the difficulties back in the days about fighting games that gives you some insight. If Eric got my back for a second, I'll go dig it out, and then I'll pull it in the chat room. That might help you guys out too.
Oh yeah, thank you. Oh yeah. Also, so I know I've been working with kind of sprites, but I want to ask if Unity or some program works with sprites like how they did like with Final Fantasy. So I'm not sure you guys know like the Final Fantasy classics. It was all sprites, but it still had some 3D elements to it where they went into like when they went to like a battle phase, they had the camera zoom and then you see like the 3D-ish models and stuff like that. So I think
movie magic.
yeah.
It's magic, yeah.
So I was wondering if maybe I could do like step by step. So like maybe perfect my 2D, then go to 3D stuff like that. So that's why.
Yeah. So Guilty Gear X, you can look that up too. Since you guys were talking about fighting games, Guilty Gear X has started. Well, it actually started. Well, Spider-Verse and Guilty Gear X are good examples of taking traditional 2D, mixing it with 3D, right? But still
that 2D format.
Exactly, right? So Guilty Gear X, the shaders, right? That's like math with what Eric and like other people, like programmers, put in there, right? They make it look, even though you're dynamic, there's something called dynamic lights. As the light is moving, you see it changing. That's usually very expensive. You see the light and the shadows changing, right? So that dynamic lighting actually now reacts with cell-shaded traditional 2D look, right? So it's like in the past, people would have to paint all these cell-shaded colors. Even when the light moves, they'd have to paint different frames, right? So imagine 24 frames per second. They'd have to shift that, in 24 frames. Now the shader can do it, right? So you just provide it with the principal artwork, and then the engine in the background figures out the rest for you. So that's what Guilty Gear is. Like, it's so beautiful, right? It's like they figured all that out.
Another
the
game
artists are just going to town.
Yeah.
Another game that does that is Breath of the Wild, right? Or is that more individual?
I feel like Breath of the Wild deals more with 3D kind of. It's not like a 2D to 3D transition.
Oh, I see.
But
it's a little bit.
Yeah, but it's still probably a little bit there. Yeah. Another game that had like beautiful 2D artwork was this game called Octopath Traveler. I think that's what I want to, I guess, aim for, because that was like peak. They had all the art, 3D stuff like that. So yeah, I feel like that was.
And Miles, and that's exactly what you said. You found something that you liked, and that's what you want to aim for. So if you can look at everything, World of Tanks, yep. If you look at what it is you like and emulate that, and start to kind of peel back the layers on what they use and how they created some of that, then it'll give you some insight in on some things that you want to work on as well. You brought up, somebody was asking about writing the stories again. So stories is very, very important. Character development and storylines are very, very important in video games. But you can also think about comic book creation. All right. Everything that DC and Marvel basically did comic book wise is now a movie or a video game.
Yeah.
As a part of the game design process, there's a storyboarding part. When you get to that part of the cycle, you're basically creating a comic book. And so for those who are good at writing, there's journalism, of course. You can look at jobs in journalism, but you can just look at writing itself. If you're good at story, you can be a part of the team that develops the story that goes along with the game. All right. So again, it's wide open. It's very wide open for whatever it is you want to try to do and get into. But then you might find something else that you like to do inside of the team and the group. So the sky's the limit. The most important part is that you're doing it right now.
Oh yeah.
to jump in it. And Miles, make sure you tell your parents I said what's up. Don't forget to email
definitely.
And email me definitely. But that's good, man. That is awesome. Usually you don't get to see people who you.
I know, right? I know. That's why I was so surprised.
I know that person.
Exactly. I had to rummage in my closet for the T-shirt. I was like, let me find it. I know he's gonna be excited about this. So yeah,
that's great.
So yeah, let's see, Rico, how should I get my storylines and book ideas out into the gaming industry? All right, all you have to do is do a project. Go ahead and complete whatever that story is and just put it out there. It'll become part of your portfolio. And because of the way social media is right now, definitely, Rico, email it to me. Your ideas, I can pass that along as well. But the way you do is you put yourself out there. You develop your portfolio so that whenever you're at a networking event like this, or when COVID goes away and we get to do face-to-face again, you have your stuff ready to go. You have your website ready to go, your personal website. And if you notice, like the way things are going, that reminds me, this is what Tyrone was talking about earlier. The technology is going to the point where you don't have to worry about a lot of things that you used to have to worry about when you were designing games. The engine does it for you. So again, it gets more back to the design and understanding what it is you want it to do. And then because computers are really dumb, you get to tell it what to do. All right. Hopefully, Skynet wasn't listening and they trying to come get me or anything, but I mean, it's true. It's true.
I got 5 more, a little bit less than 5 more minutes. I want to show you guys some examples. I always like to show it what we're talking about because we actually had a discussion about that, Eric, in the beginning. So the images speak louder than words. I was looking up the sprite sheets, right? So I'll share my screen really quick. Go over here, share screen. All right. No, where did you go? Don't leave me. Uh-oh. Sorry. It's gone. Open it up again. All right. So this is a sprite sheet editor right there.
Ooh.
You guys can see that. I believe it was free. I can't remember anymore. If I find it, I mean, you guys can email me. I can give you contact. But you can open the files. You can even see what other people. You can find these online. All of this I found online. This is Marco the Wolf. This is one of my favorite games. And so you open this up, right? And then here you get all the stuff, and you can play the animation. You see that? Right? So this animation that you see here at speed is 30 frames, right? Is it 15? Can't tell. Speed. Right here.
15.
So all of these, right, images that are superposed on top of each other play at one after the other, right? And so that then equals that animation. Now the speed is how long I hold one particular image, I can shoot it on 2s, I can shoot it on 4s, meaning it's repeating 2 times, meaning it's repeating 4 times, right? So all of that, is kind of helpful, I think, when you see it, right? And it's no different from putting it in Unreal or putting it in Unity. It's just there's more bells and whistle all around it, and more of in a cockpit, it's like a bunch of buttons and all that stuff, right? But you can always take these individual softwares. If you're interested about sprites, for example, you're like, hey, sprite viewer, or any type of Google it, right? People, they put out so many free softwares right now for you young guys to use. When we were around, man, I had to scramble. If I got my hands on a tutorial video, I was happy, at the library. It took me 2 months.
It's all book. It's all book. You had to just read the book. and go use the manual. That's all, and that's what I'm saying. The technology has given us access that we didn't used to have. Look at Groot.
I was about to say, baby Groot.
Yeah, I was just gonna before I end. This is one of my students' work, right? And this is how, like, you guys have seen the beautiful looking models, right, earlier, but beyond that, like, if there's no rigor, right, they can't, like, I can't make it animate, right? If I don't have a guy making these bones and all that stuff, I cannot make this animate, right? So in your movies or games or whatever, you either can do both and learn all that stuff, right, which is great, or you can be really good at modeling and then the rigger just loves it, right, and takes it from there. But if the mesh that's under it, right, this wireframe, we call this wireframe. Oh, this is very complex here. These lines aren't suited for the deformation, how things actually move. Then it's kind of difficult for the next person to make that work, right? So, although to answer to loop it around again for some of the questions in the beginning, although in the beginning it's like you can be really great at one thing, it always helps you to understand the next person you're handing it off to. Whether that's so the next person that's in line, if that's an engineer, it's probably good to learn a little bit about the engineering, right? You don't have to be I don't know, a super duper scientist here or anything, rocket scientist. But it's good to just understand their job a little bit, right? So that's it. Just wanted to add that at the end, so you guys can like have some idea about like what the entire scope is. And the drawings, right, they can go all the way into this 3D look, but then you paint the 2D look back in, right? And then you still need to engineer, right? It's not like you can't work by yourself.
Yeah, never a solo job.
Yeah.
Job is never done.
And as we get ready to close too, I just want to make sure I'm putting my LinkedIn into the chat again, just in case you might have missed it from earlier. But definitely, follow me, message me on that. We have a game design challenge. We're partnering with DoorDash to do a game design challenge for K through 16. So it's going to be an elementary level, middle school level, high school level, and a collegiate level awards. So definitely make sure you follow me so you can get that information. Rico, I think I got yours in there, your LinkedIn. Let me make sure I saw it up. Yep, got it. But definitely follow us, and then follow BCGA as well. They're going to help to amplify that. And just make sure whenever you hear about any of this stuff, there are free conferences all the time around game design that are talking about what's going on as well. So just again, you got to be a part of it. If you want to grow, just can't be too afraid. You got to get out there and do it.
Yeah,
got to get out there and do it. So thank you, Bradford. I'm gonna grab your LinkedIn as well.
Thanks. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it, Tyrone. This was great. Ms. Wilson, Mr. Strong, thank you for your input. This has been awesome. Just keep on keeping on. What school are you trying to go to, Miles?
Well, right now I'm at Florida A&M University right now.
Oh, you're at Florida A&M?
Mm-hmm. No, I'm not at it right now. Due to COVID, I'm not able to go out.
Oh, I mean,
yeah. But I'm attending right now.
Yeah, please email me. Please make sure.
I got you.
And Ms. Wilson, make sure you email me.
Yes, sir.
All right, awesome.
Yeah.
And everybody else, y'all got my email, my LinkedIn. Please message me, and I'll get back to you. I promise I will.
All right.
Yeah. Same here. And if you guys are lost on anything, just go to the website. I mean, I think Eric shared his. I'm gonna show you. I think, and you can also, sign up or whatever, ask for courses, and we individually. Right now, we have more of a focus on individually mentoring people, more so than holding like classes with like thousands or 100 people. Yeah, but we also will have a program where we can take, like, if you can't afford it, right? If things are too expensive, we make sure we fill it up with people and batch all of that together so we can deliver it cheaper, right? Because that's one of our things too. For certain people can afford a really high, other people can't, so in order to, we got to find a solution for those who can't. So yeah, that's it. Have anything more to say? Other than that, I got another kid too, newborn, so he's screaming, he's asking for us. So yeah,
this is weird, but Cam want to get hired or seen for. Listen, right now, in what we're in, you can get hired for just about anything.
Exactly, about to say.
I mean, it's not wrong.
Yeah,
I'm just saying it'll happen, but I think it's going to shut down on us in a second.
Yeah.
But thank you guys for coming. Check out 2 p.m. tomorrow on Twitch. Check out what's going on with BCGA USA. And just enjoy, everybody. Please enjoy. I'm glad you guys showed up, and that's half of the battle right there, showing up. And when you show up, good things happen.
All right. Yeah. Thank you so much. I appreciate your insight and everything like that. I'm super excited. It's just
me too, man.
Like I'm super excited. It's just like my problem is I want to do everything. Trying to figure out where I'm going to go under, because it's like I want to.
Thank you so much. I'm glad y'all enjoyed this this session, man. That is so good to hear. I appreciate it. I see you. And I don't want to try first names, but I think we got Robinson, we got Scholar Robinson, and Scholar Nezanet or Nezanet. I'm not sure, and I might kill your first name, definitely. But y'all have a great day. Thank you so much for joining us. See y'all again.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
I can't wait to do this again. And Eric, stay in touch, man.
It's already done. Like I said, I wrote down your number, man. We're gonna chop it up very, very soon.
Okay.
Got some stuff I know we'll be able to work together on.
Cool. And my email, I put it in there, so if you need it, but I can also text it to you. And I'm super. Again, I'm gonna talk to that team, and it's been amazing. Everybody I dealt with, including you within the team, has just been refreshing. Let's put it that way, and really nice. So I look forward to talking to you again.
Awesome. Well, have a good one. We're gonna leave on out of here.
Bye, everybody. Bye.